Hey College Success, welcome to week 4, which means after this week we are officially halfway done with this course. So I just want to give everyone kudos for doing such a nice job up until this point. Your discussion boards look really nice, your assignments are coming in nicely, so great job. So let's go ahead and jump into week 4. I do want to just remind you that you have lecture videos that do cover the content of the chapters. So week 4 is over chapter 5 and chapter 6. So you want to make sure that you watch both of those to give you a basis of understanding for the assignments for week 4. All right, so my video right now is just going to cover the chapter 5 part of the assignments. So you'll have a separate video for chapter 6. So right now we are just completing and talking about these chapter 5 assignments. So as a reminder though, we are back to a normal 2-post week, meaning, in week 3, you only had 1 discussion board to post in, and you could have posted on Wednesday or Thursday because the college was closed last Wednesday. However, this week we are back to a strict Wednesday weekly attendance. So you want to make sure that you post in both chapter 5 and chapter 6 discussion boards by Wednesday. So back to what you were used to in weeks 1 and 2. All right, so again, just chapter 5 for now. So I'm going to go ahead and go down to the week 4 assignments, and then there's your chapter 5 skills survey. Again, that's just a point of reflection, just to kind of check in with yourself to see where you are with the particular concepts. So let's look at our chapter 5 discussion. So here is the post for this chapter. It says, imagine that you were giving a chapter to read in your American history class about the Gettysburg Address. Write down what you already know about this historic document. How might thinking through this prior knowledge help you better understand the text? Okay, so first let me point out that you are not being graded on how much you do or do not know about the Gettysburg Address. It is strictly kind of writing down what you remember about it. And if you need to do a quick Google search, I'm totally fine with that. Just kind of freshen your memory if you really are like, oh my gosh, I don't remember almost anything. So the first, first couple sentences are just talking about what you know about the Gettysburg Address. Kind of hit on the who, what, where, when, why type things if you can. Again, you're not being graded on how much you do or do not know. The meat of your response is then tying this to how might thinking through your prior knowledge help you better understand the text. So if you were about to read a chapter on the Gettysburg Address, how might having prior knowledge or thinking through that prior knowledge help make the new chapter a little easier? And this is something talked about inside our chapter 5 lecture about reading and note-taking, specifically the part on academic reading and why prior knowledge is so important. So this is kind of having you put that into play with this practice, exercise if you were reading about the Gettysburg Address. So make sure that you pay attention to your words, 150 words or more, just around 150. And then again, post by Wednesday for weekly attendance, and then make sure you respond to 2 classmates' posts in this forum by Sunday. And then don't forget to also post in your chapter 6 discussion, which is talked about in the next video. All right, here are your assignments then. After you do discussion board, you have a chapter 5 assignment called the 7 Deadly Sins. So this is 2 parts. You're going to first read this article. So right here, 7 Deadly Sins. It's a Word doc. It's going to open up here. It's not terribly long. It's a little outdated at this point, but the kind of the essence of it still stands. So you're going to read through this document. Shouldn't be too much of a shock because chapter 5 is about academic reading. So you are going to read this article called The 7 Deadly Sins of Students. Then you are going to answer right here. This is a PDF, chapter 5 assignment. It's going to open up here and you can type right in here. So you're going to answer these questions. What is the author's thesis? So that means, what is the main idea, essentially, of this article? It's not asking to define the word thesis. You are telling me, what is the author trying to teach you as a reader? What does the author want you to know? So you're going to write down the thesis, and then where is it located? Is it in the first sentence? Is it in the last sentence? Is it implied, meaning you have to bring it into your own words? How would you describe the tone? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it informational? Is it condescending? Is it humorous? What is the tone, and how do you know that? How effective is their argument? So the author is trying to make a point. How effective is it? Are they using good examples or quotes or stats or whatever it is to make their point? What are the author's weaknesses? What did they kind of not do very well? And then what did they do really well? What are their strengths? Do you agree with the author about the 7 deadly sins, and why or why not? If you were to write a rebuttal, so if you were to come back and respond to this article and say, well, hey, you didn't think about this, what kind of points would you make? And then what are some deadly sins of teachers and professors? So when you're done with this, I'm just retyping the word thesis just to have something there. You're going to make sure that you save it with your changes. So save it with your changes, and then come in here, click on the name of the assignment, upload your file, browse, and upload that particular assignment. So that is the 7 deadly sins assignment. So read that article and then complete those sentence questions regarding the article. The next thing is your chapter 5 quiz, which hopefully at this point we are just getting used to these, 2 to 5 complete sentences. So question 1 says, studies today suggest students are spending less time reading than the past, but that doesn't include the time they spend on social media. So you personally, do you think you spend less time reading now than when you were younger? What kind of reading do you do on social media? If you're reading TikTok, there's not, a ton to read on TikTok's captions. If you are reading social media that has any, on X or Facebook or anything like that, how does this differ from the kind of reading you were required to do in college? So even like personal email could kind of be grouped into that. How does all that differ from high school or college reading specifically? And then do you think social media has a positive or negative effect on your reading for college and professional life? All right, question 2 talks about personal biases. Have you ever considered your personal biases or prejudices or preset ideas? Do you think your prejudice on reading topics or subjects or points of views or anything like that affect what you choose to read and study and how you approach your assignments? Could they impact the way that you interact with people, specifically classmates and instructors? So kind of go into some detail with that. Part 3, it says, or question 3, on section 5.2 under allowing adequate time for reading, there are several quotes from notable names. So what I mean by that, if we go back in, and I'm going to get into my week 4, give me just a second here, chapter 5, and I like to make this up because I have a lot of students who just completely miss the point of this. So allowing adequate time for reading, if I scroll down right here, you can see when I say notable names, here we have Harry Truman, Thomas Jefferson, Frederick Douglass, George R.R. Martin. So that's what I mean. You want to look at those particular quotes and pick one and talk about if you agree or disagree, and kind of maybe reflect on that quote. Okay, so you're not picking just a quote that says, read primary sources such as legal documents. That's not what that means. Pick a quote from one of these people here, and if you agree or disagree and why. All right, next question, question 4, talks about note-taking, and it emphasizes Cornell notes, outlining and concept mapping. Have you tried any of these? Have you used note-taking apps? What is your experience with note-taking apps, and what method seems to fit your learning preferences? Do you use one of these methods up here? Do you use note-taking? Which one fits best? And then question 5 is like a learning modality question. When you want to learn something new, do you read a book or a website? Do you watch a YouTube video? Maybe do a little bit of both. Why did you pick that? Have you always felt that way, or has it changed over time? Do you think media has changed your reading habits? So there's a little bit of callback to question 1 with that. All right, when you're done with that, make sure you save, submit, and put that one in the Dropbox as well. I'm gonna go back a little bit here. Put that in that Dropbox as well. All right, so those are your chapter 5 assignments for week 4. Please make sure you come back and watch the next video that will talk specifically about chapter 6.